The Evil Business of Uber by Ordinary Things. Link to the original video in the description.
Uber. This not taxi company has revolutionized urban transportation and added jet fuel to the gig economy. It has made the traditional taxi cab look like a donkey-pulled cart and made every American city look like a Toyota dealership. But the company's legacy is stained.
Dude, it's so sad what's happened to cars, dude. Cars used to be cool. You used to look around, and this is before my time, really, but cars used to be cool where, like, you look around, you see badass muscle cars and cool, weird Volkswagens and all kinds of different colors on everything, and now we just get the same gray to black to white blob over and over again. You see a car with color on it now, it's genuinely like, oh, damn, that must be an older car. Because now they're just there's some shade of gray, you know?
Worse than one of their
Taxi in your country was horrible. I mean, dude, I don't even have taxi here. Like,
after surge pricing in Soho.
Oh my god, we're chilling.
No, I'm not taking you guys.
It systematically crushes its competition, ignores national laws, and treats its own employees, I mean, independent contractors, like trash.
it's crazy, dude. They pretty much work for just tips, and it's actually insane, like, that they get away with that. Because, like, what? I'm paying for the ride, like $40 or whatever, to go, like, 10 feet. And then now I have to pay them their tip as well. That's crazy. Said one of my friends imports stuff from Egypt, and they have to pay off customs not to be halted for some sort of fictional paperwork. Jesus Christ, yeah. I mean, I'm glad I am not important enough to worry about any of that stuff, to be honest.
It is Uber versus the world, but in many ways, it's the story of
Cars
one
smelly,
man.
cars almost no
In
AC.
1998, Party Dude
Price outmade the driver was in the mood. Dude, I miss whenever cars were just cars. Now cars are computers because everyone wants to have their own proprietary systems that you have to go directly to the guy who made to the dealership to get anything done on your car. Otherwise, it's gonna break. They'll literally stop you at gunpoint on long drives to extort you. Amazing country, I love it, but it gets wild sometimes. Wow. I mean, it doesn't sound like it's that amazing if they're stopping you at gunpoint to extort you, but maybe I'm just biased.
and UCLA student Travis Kalanick was working on a peer-to-peer file sharing service called Scour.
It was basically the first peer-to-peer app out there. The first way to find
I prefer to not
music, video,
be
movies,
stopped and frisked,
images online.
T-Dog
that's just
quit
me.
college to focus on Scour full-time. He'd miss out on all the keg stands, babes, and cultural Marxist political indoctrination, but it would be worth
I'm telling you, that's not how I feel. That's not me at all. That's my Jordan Peterson impression. Not very good.
it because he was getting ready to party in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
But Scour had just one fatal flaw. It was completely illegal. It was hosting music, movies, and TV owned by these big boys.
The newspaper's down, and we're on the front page of all of them, like $250 million lawsuit against Scour, right?
Oh.
$250 billion.
By like 20,
Not quarter billion.
That's how you know,
There's three
dude.
commas.
Someone's trying to take you down is when they're charging you all that. They're trying to get you for all the money.
There's 3 commas.
Travis doubles down and founds another peer-to-peer file-sharing website called Red Swoosh.
I started what I call a revenge business. The name of the company is called Red Swoosh. The idea was the same peer-to-peer technology, but I take those 33 litigants that sued me and turn them into customers. So now those dudes who sued me are now paying me.
But it doesn't quite work
What?
out like that. Travis never quite finds enough funding to make the company viable. He goes without a personal income for 3
Dang,
years.
I do love a good, like, revenge company. That's the coolest thing you can do, is to just, like, if I had a bunch of money, like, let's say I won the Powerball when it was at, like, $1 billion. The first thing I would do is go to, like, 3 specific old businesses I used to work for, buy them, and then shut them down, just out of spite. Like that, just because, like, and then I'd change them into something else or something. I don't know, maybe, or sell the building. But I would, dude, there would be so many spiteful things I would do that would waste so much money, but it would be so great.
But he also forgets to pay most of his employees.
You said, to be fair, one of those times you got stopped, it was your own fault, and you you got to take a picture holding an AK for €1. Hey, that's a good deal.
And the federal government.
So we owed $110,000 to the IRS in unwithheld income taxes, which is a white-collar crime that pierces the corporate shell, and it doesn't matter whether you knew or not. If you're an officer at the company, you're going to jail.
Travis remained at home, jerking his little ding-dong and dreaming of all those college rages he missed out on. But 10 years after Scour's initial failure, Travis Kalanick's luck begins to change. He starts working with Garrett Camp, founder of StumbleUpon and homeless man who wants to sell you a cat skull. And Camp had a revolutionary idea for a new kind of taxi service. One what you could see on your phone like James Bond did in that movie. Uber Cabs took its first fare in June 2010 in San Francisco, and it's an instant hit.
Guys, when you open up that app and you get that experience of like, I am living in the future, like I pushed a frickin' button and a car showed up and now I'm a pimp.
Oh my god. That is a seriously funny thing to think, but that is exactly how it was initially marketed and kind of felt, back in the day. Same with food delivery. It did feel like whenever you could just go on DoorDash and press a button, it did feel like, all right, we're in the future now, and this is weird. I don't know if I really like this future because it's turning a lot more cyberpunk and a lot less Star Trek. Well, I say less Star Trek, but actually we're right on the timeline for Star Trek. I mean, in the timeline of Star Trek in 2023 was whenever Sanctuary Cities opened up, which I think that's pretty close to the timeline for, or no, that's when they popped off, when they everybody got angry. That's when they got angry at him here too. And we're on track. If we keep going with Star Trek, then at 2050, there's supposed to be some crazy shit that happens, some crazy pop-off event that makes us kind of reset a little bit and focus more on space travel.
Garrett is the guy who invented that shit.
Seeing the route and expected arrival time of your car was an incredible innovation, and it boasted itself as a luxury experience.
There's a lot more parallels to it, by the way, like baseball becoming less and less popular in America because of the attention span of the average American falling off at almost the exact same time as it is now in America. Let's see. What else do we have with Star Trek? A lot of them you learn from Deep Space Nine, and a little bit from Voyager. But yeah, there's a decent amount of tie-ins that happen that are pretty close to what's happening in real life. They're different. They're more intense and fictionalized, but it's still funny to think about.
But it was T-Dog's cost-cutting measures that really led to Uber's unprecedented global growth.
He calls me, he's like, Travis, I've got the papers for the...
I like baseball and Deep Space Nine just being a simulated game. Yeah, well, and it's like Benjamin has seen every one of his favorite baseball players' baseball games in person. That's the cool thing I like about the holodeck. It's at first they introduced the holodeck, and their idea of it was limited to what if it was basically a video game that you could walk around in. But then people started to realize with Deep Space Nine, they were like, no, of course, if there were holodecks, then they would be used for not only sexual things, of course, because that's part of what Quark's business is for, but also watching a baseball game in person that you never got to see from the stands, or playing with your favorite player, or just talking to someone you respect, which is something cool they got farther into with TNG even. And near the end with Data. Yeah, they made the holodeck super realistic. They really did. Who would think of that? Dude, I would think of that immediately. In fact, the first thing you do with technology almost every single time is make pornography. As a civilization, that's one of the first things you ever do. Look at, when Japan very first started drawing stuff, right? There's hentai from 2,000 years ago, when they were first doing their real ink, beautiful ink paintings. Everything from it. Look at when the internet first came out. When the internet first came out, what was the first thing people were doing? Porn sites were popping up left and right, dude. This is a normal function of society. There's two things that you need for your technology if you're going to advance your technology. One, can I touch myself to it? And two, can I make money from somebody touching themselves to it? Once you can do those things, everything else just kind of naturally occurs with technology. Whenever they discovered that, rocks, you could smash two rocks together to make fire. What do you think those cavemen were really doing with two rocks, smashing them together? You think those cavemen were just standing around smashing rocks together, or do you think they were trying to make boobs? Because I think they were trying to make boobs.
Parking garage. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it, because I was just very against owning the assets, hiring the drivers.
Right.
Unlike traditional taxi cab companies, Uber didn't have to buy,
Money
repair,
first, then
or
touching.
store a
Just
single
natural
vehicle.
curiosity.
Trey K and Camp had created a revolutionary service. It just had one fatal flaw. It was completely illegal. Uber is hit with a cease and desist letter
He said
from
sounds
the
right
city of
outside of
San
context.
Francisco
No, it
for
totally
operating a taxi service without a license, with a threatened $5,000 fine for...
Dude, there's literally caveman paintings of boobies. I'm not even kidding. There's Egyptian hieroglyphs of boobies. Dude, boobs have existed throughout human culture and mankind, and man's love of them has spurred things on. Boobs are great. Yeah, dude. Oh, man.
for every ride that occurs on its service.
There's strength in
But
boobs.
instead of declaring bankruptcy like last
Breathe the
time
nipple.
Travis ran afoul of the law, he has enough
Oh
money
my God.
to
Hey,
pay
I'm
the
not
government
against it.
off. Uber Cabs received a red-hot injection of venture capital from some of Silicon Valley's biggest investors.
No,
So I'm going to give a really big thank
Silicon
you
Valley, some of the worst, scummiest people in the world that are ruining the planet constantly, all the time. I mean, what? No, I didn't say that.
to the SFMTA for making us
That must have been a deep fake of me saying that. I would never say that. I totally support the tech overlords taking everything over, actually.
really allowing us to bring a great service to a city that really needs it.
But it had to rebrand to reflect its new big tech backing. They weren't a cab company, they were a marketplace platform that connected independent contractors to jobs and took a percentage of the fare for the service. San Francisco learned to forgive
anything
Uber
wrong
for
with
its
boobs.
blatant
Yeah,
law
fair enough.
breaking because it is the embodiment of Silicon Valley's favorite buzzword. Allowed to incubate in San Francisco's sweaty tenderloin for a little longer, Uber soon spreads across the United States.
Hey, if anybody doesn't like boobs, then that just means they hate being alive and everything. Boobs are their life, dude. They give life. You know? That's like the start, right? For every creature, every mammal, and they're great pillows, you're right.
States.
We're growing a lot. We're in San Francisco now. You should
excellent point.
expect 10, 15, 20 cities in the next 2-3 years.
By the end of 2011, Uber's in Paris. And by 2012, Travis is having the Uber logo shaved into this
Uber's
guy's
in
head.
Paris.
What's up?
I lost a bet to Travis, the founder.
It's the
of,
first thing you
Uber.
put in your mouth, and hopefully the last.
We're finishing. You
Yeah.
started that on stage.
It's a good way to end it all, you know.
Uber logo
Good
on your head.
exclamation
It
point.
took him 10 years, but T-Dog
Oh God,
is finally on top.
I'm not saying that out loud, Harmony.
Actually, our top drivers here. Highest rated means when you get in the car, they tell you a joke. Or they just shut the fuck up. Like, whatever it is, you know, I like.
Oh, dude, don't you love it when CEOs are like totally edgy? Isn't that so totally cool, man? Doesn't it make you on their side? They're just like us, dude. I mean, don't mind the millions of dollars and the giant homes and like the fancy cars, but they're just like us. He said go to hell or something or fuck off, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't even paying attention. When CEOs talk, my mind literally just shuts off. Every time I hear a CEO voice, my mind literally just goes whoop and just goes blank.
Just kid around with Steve every once in a while, but he's got 5 kids at home. And I like to think that Uber's, part of making sure that, that those guys are taken care of, and that
I'm trying to pay attention.
He's always on Uber.
I don't know
Well,
what
Travis
he's
is
dog.
kind of
I literally all I hear there is the womp 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 from Charlie Brown.
joking here.
Their sole
He's not-
purpose is to sell you the product. So same, yes, and like, dude, everything they say is corporate speak. I don't know. I never trust anything a CEO says ever, and everything they say is usually stupid anyway.
wrong. For an Uber driver to make something that resembles a living, they are going to have to work some unreasonable and unsociable
Even if they're
hours.
being relatable, it's just to sell you something. That's why these X posts I see, or Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, where it's these corporations that are like, hey, look at me, I'm so totally relatable. Wendy's and McDonald's, we're having a beef on the internet right now. Oh, speaking of beef, buy our hamburgers. It's like, dude, suck my ass through a straw and go to hell. God, yeah, I just can't believe people fall for that. It's crazy. With Uber on first launch, we made good money, word, but then it slowly slipped off, I'm guessing, because...
According to a recent survey by UC Santa Cruz, 71% of Uber workers asked work 30 hours a week, and more than half work over 40. Uber drivers have to maintain their own cars, pay for gas, and pay for insurance, both for their vehicles and for their squishy, fragile bodies. And if they can't work for whatever reason, tough shit. They're not employees, so no employment rights.
True.
Uber really doesn't want you to think of their drivers as their employees. So it's telling that their YouTube output
Why aren't they
is
just
mostly
taxi drivers, be their own boss? Because taxis don't have the infrastructure. That's the whole, that's the whole
devoted
deal.
to showing you all the things their drivers do besides driving. This is the commercial that Uber has.
And plus, if somebody made a service that was like, yeah, here, you can be a taxi driver on your own dollar, and it's just like Uber, except I don't take a cut. And I only take, I take like 1 to 5% or whatever, and you guys keep everything else. Well, the second that guy tried to make that business, he would either be A, killed, or he would be B, taken over by a larger corporation, bought out, and then they would just sell themselves to Uber, who would then, it would all tie back in, be the same price within like a month or two. UK taxis are more common. Oh, no, for sure. No, you're for sure right, because America's so big. Like, in the big cities, they're super common. Like New York, California, Chicago, they're pretty common. Even St. Louis, they're a little common, but not as much because, people don't really live there that much anymore. They kind of been moving out. But everywhere else, pretty much no taxis. Been years since you used it. Now they put a law that you have to work for somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, that too. They love to lobby. This is the thing in America that really pisses me off about our politics more than anything. Everybody wants to talk about, they'll be like, oh, well, the foreign lobby is a problem, or this party's the problem, or that party's the problem. And it's like, you know what the real problem is? It's lobbying in general. Lobbying is literally where a corporation or a foreign government or anybody can pay politicians money so that they vote the way they want them to. It's literally corruption, and it's right in your face, and they don't even have to disclose it most of the time. And it's like this obfuscated disclosure. That's the problem. It's not this or that or the other lobby. It's all lobbying all together is a problem. It's a huge problem. That's why the corporations are getting more and more powerful in America while the average person is making less and less money every day. Is because these corporate lobbyists, or any kind of lobbyist, like they pushed the bill when it first came out that lobbying was like totally fine now, which was like way long ago. It was supposed to be, so the common person can pay a politician and support their campaign, and then they can get the person they want in. And obviously corporations took advantage of that right away. Like at the second that it did. So I don't know. I got a private cab every few weeks from a dude, where you don't even see them as a taxi. More just a friend at that point. Yeah, you're paying gas money. Yeah, from 2017 to present, you'll end up with 20% of what the money you make. Yeah, that's true. The people's representatives are being paid more by companies than by the people by a wide margin. It's the most unfortunate. That's like, if you wanted to pick one problem that's with America, one thing that you could actually realistically solve, Because I love America, by the way. I'm a huge fan of America, but if there's one problem we have, it's lobbying, for sure. Let me say it again. You work with your car, your time, and you get the lowest cut from them. Imagine. Yeah, dude, even video game developers get 70% of their cut.
Has paid the most
when they put
to
stuff on a
push into
platform.
people's face, portraying one of their not employees who's only driving Uber so he can make enough money to do something that isn't driving for Uber. They want you to believe that driving for Uber is a stopgap, a way of making a little extra cash on your commute. If it's something you do in your spare time or just temporarily, then Uber isn't your boss and therefore doesn't owe you anything.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, is that what it should be is, if they want to keep this big-ass cut and they want to only give you this tiny percentage of it, then they should be paying for your car insurance. They should be paying for some of your gas, reimbursing you for that. And they should be, or at least doing general maintenance on your car as well as the insurance. Maybe not the gas, but at least general maintenance and insurance should be paid for by them. I mean, what else is the point of them taking all of the money? Yeah, it's like if you do Twitch and you end up with 20%, you have to pay taxes for that, and they don't give it. Yeah, and they don't give a fuck about you now. Yeah, they don't have to, because they're so big that it's like, what would people do without Uber? Well, I guess they just go to shitty Lyft, which is just a worse version of Uber, and it would just become the same thing. I mean, it pretty much is. It is the same thing. It's just slightly worse.
And it's not like anyone can really make a living driving Uber, right? There are dozens of posts online and academic studies that show how little the average Uber driver makes, once the cost of owning and maintaining their own vehicle are factored in. But you will also hear of Uber speed.
The best Uber drivers I've ever had, though, are just like old people who are trying to get out of the house and drive around for a little bit and kind of talk to new people. I love those. Just like an old person's driving around, they're like, hey, how are you going? Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's what 90% of them are, is 90% of them are just an immigrant that pulls up, can't speak the language, and they pull up in a brand new Tesla, and you're like, what? And you try to, like, tell them, hey, no, stop here, and they don't even speak your language. So it's like, okay, all right, well, that's what we're doing now. Yeah, and they pay them nothing, yeah. So, I don't know. It's a way to take advantage of people, just like everything else, I guess.
Runners who have turned the app into their own version of Cash Cab. How? Well, it's all about surge pricing. Surge pricing isn't just a way for Uber to fleece its drunk customers after midnight. It's also key to its
that corner, please. I mean, oh, dude, yeah, I don't know.
Internal economy and make sure an Uber is always close by. All you see is the jacked up price, but drivers see.
Well, I don't know where. This is the thing that I always wonder about, right? It's like, so I've been living in America for my entire life, right? I've been working a job for most of my entire life. I paid all my bills on time, and somehow I was unable to get a loan for a $4,000 car at 29 years old. I got declined for a loan for that. Where are these people getting money for brand new Teslas and Hellcats and stuff, and they can't pay them off, and they're getting towed away? Where are you getting these loans from? Because they won't give me a shit box for $4,000, but how are you getting these cars? Where are you getting these cars from? Because please tell me, because I want them too. Give me one of these cars. Jesus. If the pay was more fair, I'd consider it, but it seems like fun hanging out with randoms for a brief time. Like me, yeah, that's how the best ones usually see it. Like they actually, because they don't. The best Uber drivers are the people who aren't driving for the money. They're just driving for the experience of driving around. Because if you're driving for the money, you're just gonna get mad because you're not making any money. It's horrible, bad experience. Sign up with the Army, you get one for your signing bonus. I actually did know a guy who was in the Army, and as soon as he got out, he bought a like brand new Camaro with his military bonus or whatever. Either DEI or because Tesla lends out cars to Uber drivers too nowadays. Yeah. I mean, well, it's all. The thing is, the truth is, people like me are seen to be benefited from society, and like I don't know if that's true or not for the average person, but I gotta tell you, dude, as somebody who grew up with, dude, you want to know how dirt poor I grew up? This is how dirt poor I grew up. I was on food stamps the entire time. Like, dude, parents were there when they could be, but not very often, and that I'll leave that part at there. I lived with my great-grandma, and I slept on her couch because the house wasn't big enough for me to have a room. Like, dude, we grew up with roaches in the house. Like, dude, I'm telling you, I grew up poorer than Kenny from South Park. And like, I don't know. So, it's weird to me that people are always like, yes, you have this huge benefit being who you are, being a white male book. And it's like, for me personally, I don't know about everybody, but for me personally, I have never ever seen the benefit, and I've only ever seen the negative. That's for me personally in my lifetime. And I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting a little preachy now, so I'll stop with that. But that's just me as a person, how I feel.
This, a city littered with...
Yeah, dude, it's the law. Serve, get a muscle car, never drive it. True. Uber, not to Uber drivers, the company they work to. Yeah, the company even there that asks for €1,500 per month. Jesus. Or a lifted truck. That is an option for the stereotypes. You got to. I swear life's just 99% luck. It pretty much is. I grew up dirt poor, then my dad got lucky and he signed some paper putting his shit on the line to help me with the loan. Oh, word. Yeah, see, it all depends on... See, I say luck is whenever... And I didn't make this saying up, but I say whenever luck is whenever preparation meets opportunity. So, like, as long as the opportunity comes along and you're prepared for it, that's what luck is. Hopefully, I'm prepared for whatever opportunity will come along, you know, because doors open. You just have to be able to see them.
With red boxes that represent high traffic areas and more profitable fares. Think sporting events, nightclubs, anywhere where a lot of people are doing a lot of drinking. This both satisfies customer demand and turns the app into a game. The guys who are making the most as Uber drivers are
They do try to hide the doors.
Cities, finding the places that are
They try to hide them, you know. They try to hide them real hard, but I guess that's what friends are for, so you can push them into the walls, and if they make a thud, then you know that that's not where the door is. But if they don't make a thud, then you follow them, you know?
Surge, and then planning an efficient route between them. Uber and Lyft have been waging a war for the ride-hailing market share since 2012, when Uber launched UberX, a lower-cost version of the service, which let anyone with more than 3 wheels drive for them. And previously, it was this amateur-hour approach that Lyft was specializing in.
Lyft is the idea that people can be brought together through transportation.
The pink mustache,
Lyft are the good guys, you see. They're just trying to save...
I know a dude with a pink mustache in real life, and he's the most insufferable piece of shit I've ever met.
The planet, man. It just happens that the best way to do that is by creating a high-revenue, not taxi company that also doesn't consider its drivers employees. But you know, in like a cool, eco-friendly way. Uber parking up on Lyft's front lawn led to a brief Twitter skirmish between Travis and Lyft founder John Zimmer, both accusing the other of being a total copycat. You copied my company. Nuh-uh, you did. But
you both just copied taxis and put it on a phone. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not... Dude, these companies will be like, yeah, I took their idea and I put it on a phone. I'm so original. Hey, wait, you're copying me now. It's like, no, dude, that's not... You didn't come up with anything. You did not come up with taxis, dude. You put it on a phone, you fuckface.
Travis's attack on Lyft went far beyond some social media meat measuring. He ordered his loyal Uber foot soldiers to conduct a prank war with Lyft. They created hundreds of Lyft accounts and overloaded their system.
Yeah, they act like they invented the iPhone. It's crazy.
Callouts that they would then cancel before the driver arrived. frustrating Lyft drivers and slowing the service down for genuine customers. Then there was something called Operation Hell.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. You could already call taxis. You could already look them up in the yellow pages and call them. You're right.
Where Uber insiders use
Oh my
software
God.
to literally track Lyft drivers and lure them away from the company. But Uber and Lyft would set aside
But
their
you couldn't watch a nifty little car of them drive around on a map towards your house. And then see them stop somewhere along the way and be like, oh, this is why it's taking 10 minutes. Oh, no worries. Well, at least they only stopped for 5 minutes. Now they're on the way again. Oh, great. They missed their exit. Now I have to wait an extra 10 minutes for them to make it to the actual turnaround point on the highway so they can get to me. Great. Fuck.
differences to fight a common enemy.
Now, taxis in Paris are blocking access to the city's airports and train stations today, protesting against Uber.
Uber had become so successful so quickly that it had bulldozed the traditional taxi cab industry.
Yeah, but you call a taxi and they arrive there on time, you said, and that's just too convenient. We can't be having things be convenient anymore. We've got to make things look like they're convenient while making them extra inconvenient. Like putting computers inside of ovens now so that they just randomly break, or refrigerators that just fucking burn out in 5 months and they used to last for 50 years, or putting a bunch of random electronics inside of a car so that only the dealership can repair it. You know, we can't have convenience. We gotta put these computers in the cars so that we could track stuff and you can like have all this performance options, but really it's to inconvenience you. It just looks like convenience. The thing is, you have a rating system. You can report and get your money back, or report and get enough reports and account closed and banned for life. Yeah. I do say that most of the time the rating system worked for me because I'm always very pleasant to people who are like anybody in the service industry, whether you're picking me up in a car or serving me food. As long as you're pleasant to me, I'm pleasant to you. I've only ever had like one truly bad experience with an Uber driver. But most of the time it's just a pleasant little conversation, maybe sometimes a little weird. But obviously I could talk and talk and talk. I could talk all day. If you start talking to me in a car, I'm just going to start talking to you about everything, dude. So I've never had a problem with that. It's awkward to me. I always feel awkward, but I have what I call verbal diarrhea, where I just spew things out of my mouth constantly. And, you know, sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's not that great, but, you know, it is what it is. Once upon a time, you just say your driver slow down, and they would, or if they didn't, you'd pay. Yeah, they'd get paid. That's true. Nowadays, it's like, oh, well, we're going to put the tip on beforehand so that even if the ride is shitty, you can't even take the tip down. You know, it's crazy. We had sometimes most of the taxi come to ruin come to Uber to ruin the system. Yeah, like they come in front of the passenger and lock the doors and slowly run. We did have a little thing in our town a few years ago. It's like 8 years ago now, actually, in the town I was living in at the time, where supposedly AT&T was coming up and cutting Charter's internet cables, like in the middle of the night. And my brother swore he saw them doing it, and he was talking to the Charter people who said they were doing it. Yeah, but they never actually got physically caught doing it. But yeah, they were like sabotaging them, I guess. That's allegedly, you know, I never saw it, so.
Industry. So some cabbies decided the best way to win back their customers was to cause them all a massive inconvenience.
But yeah, my brother and like 4 other people I knew at the time who were using Charter had to get their lines put back up several times because in the middle of the night their internet lines would just get cut.
In Paris, anti-Uber protesters led to violent clashes with the police that ended with an Uber getting the barbecue treatment. And in New York, protesters really got carried away, especially this guy.
Yeah, hold on to my
These
car,
lot
dude.
aren't just
Dude, I'm telling you right now, dude, if I'm driving a car, if I'm on the street and you try to jump out in front of me and like stop me, I might slow down. I might honk at you for a second. But if you start to get physical with my car or anything, I'm hitting the gas as hard as I can. If I see you reaching, I'm hitting the gas as hard as I can. And especially if you try to grab the fucking handle of the door, I'm not just driving as fast as I can. I'm driving as fast as I can, and then when I get up to like 50 miles per hour, I'm turning the car as hard as I can in the direction that you're, like, if you're holding on to the left door, I'm turning the car left, and then I'm turning it right to make sure that you fall off under my tire. Don't try to play that shit with me, dude. I'm serious. I believe in the stand your ground type shit, dude. If you come at me, that's threatening behavior, and I'll run your ass over. That's how I feel. For real, dude. Straight up, dude. I mean, allegedly, I'm totally kidding. But, you know, I don't know. In the Netherlands, you need a special taxi driver's license to have a taxi. So they just told Uber that their drivers need special driver's licenses. Well, and realistically, there's that. And, well, and we have that here, too, actually, where you're supposed to have a taxi license, like a license specifically for driving passengers. But Uber gets around that because technically they don't work for them and stuff. And all this dumb shit. You know, they lobbied the politicians. So they just get around it. And honestly, I think that contracting needs to come to an end. That's a big problem. A lot of these companies get around paying their employees and giving them the rights that are granted to them by our Constitution and by our Congress and everything, by having them be contractors. Even WWE does this with their wrestlers. The wrestlers in WWE are contractors, so they don't have to get paid health insurance or anything. Think about that with wrestlers. That's crazy. That they're doing all that high-flying shit, hurting themselves all the time, and they have to pay for their own health insurance. They get fired whenever. No reason. You need a special plate on the back of your car to show you're safe, legal, and registered. Yeah, you do for taxis here, just not for Uber. Which, that's the weird thing.
Protesting.
Yeah, not a special driver's license, but some... Well, here I'm pretty sure... I thought it was a it might not be a driver's license. Well, I think it's a class. There's different classes of license here. There's like a class B, a class F. There's like ones for big rigs. There's all different kinds. And then, yeah, you'd have to get a special license plate as well. I don't know.
Uber, they're protesting technology and their
Yeah, well, and that too. It's so people don't just get kidnapped and stuff. And they have... There's been problems with that with Uber many times where people get like hurt or kidnapped or some crazy shit happens. Maybe the person who gets in the car starts doing crazy shit. Dude, I don't know. Uber's not nearly as safe or reliable as a taxi, that's for sure. It's kind of a Wild West.
Obsolescence. But still, this didn't do much for Uber's public image. This wasn't the kind of disruption that their Silicon Valley investors were looking for. And for his part, T-Dog tried to do some damage control, appearing on The Late Show, hoping he'd seem like less of a self-aggrandizing anus if he was sat next to Stephen Colbert.
And I'm going to drop a few names here. I was coming out of the White House.
Boom.
I had just been at a state dinner where I was the dining companion of Michelle Obama. And I said, JJ, you want to get a ride with me? Because we're going to go get some French fries, because they don't feed you a lot at the White House.
But no late-night sofa sessions would prepare Uber.
I can't stand Stephen Colbert. There was a time when I used to like Colbert. I even read his book, I Am America and So Can You. In high school, I read that, and it was hilarious to me. Amazing. He fell off so hard, dude. Like, there's some people who get so focused on the political game that they lose who they were. You know?
Uber and
that was
Travis
him.
For what came next.
Oh yeah, for most countries. Yeah,
In
Uber
January
takes over
2017,
taxi drivers for sure. The only place where taxi drivers even still live here is like, you know, big cities. Nowhere else. There's no taxis that are going anywhere else.
Hashtag delete Uber began trending on Twitter hard. This was all in response to Uber having turned off surge pricing at JFK Airport, while other taxi services were striking against the government's Muslim ban.
Oh, that's crazy.
Hundreds of thousands of their
That's
active
funny.
users deleted the app in a matter of days. After this, the floodgates were open, and Uber was caught in a storm of controversy.
Yeah, I do want the New York taxi experience one day, for sure. I hope it stays, honestly, and I hope it stays just as fucked up and weird as it is in the movies. I hope that's real. If it isn't like getting in Roman's car in GTA 4, I'll be disappointed. Well, Roman's car, but yellow. I don't even, because that's too Uber-y. Roman's car is too much of an Uber experience. I want the full yellow taxi, dude. That's what I want.
There was a security breach that exposed the user data of 57 million customers and drivers, something that Uber had been covering up for.
I meant more being screamed at, yeah, in like vaguely English, like kind of halfway English, you know? That's, you get that experience in Ubers actually now, most of the time, now that I think about it. They drive like maniacs, and they scream at you in half English, and then they can't understand you, and then they, I don't know, dude. It gets. I had one person tell me not to put my feet on their or not to put my shoes on their floor pad, and they wanted me to take my shoes off when I got in the car and set them next to. It was weird. And then I saw a fucking one car pull up that had like a spoiler on it and shit. And I just walked back inside. I was like, dog, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting it. It was like a crazy looking wild muscle car. It's like, dog, I'm not trusting a stranger driving for Uber to drive me around in their sports car they just got. That's not happening. Honestly. Honestly love it and tipped him more. The taxi driver needs to be a local superhero. Well, for sure, he does. He does have to be that. I'll have my moments when I drive like a maniac. Oh, for sure. But, you know, if it's a stranger, I'm definitely not trusting that. If I had money to waste, I'd ask him to phone me later to go bowling. And hey, Ormany, you want to go bowling?
For nearly 2 years. There was also a high-profile lawsuit from Waymo, citing intellectual property theft of their self-driving / pedestrian squishing technology. Then, just 1 month after Delete Uber was crashing into the company's bottom line, it resurfaced. An ex-Uber employee named Susan Fowler wrote a blog exposing the company's lax attitude when it came to reports of sexual harassment in the workplace. But that complaint paled in comparison to the deluge of sexual harassment claims that followed Fowler's letter. With all this pressure, T-Dog was ready to burst. And unfortunately, he did it all over the back seat of one of his cars.
Oh no.
There it is. So we can just pull off the side right here.
Right here?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good one. Thank you. But you're raising the standards and you're dropping the prices.
We're not dropping the price on black.
But in general, the whole price.
Yeah, we have to. We have competitors.
He's talking to him.
You keep changing.
Hold on a second. What have I changed about black?
Huh?
What have I
changed the whole business.
What?
You dropped the prices.
On black?
Yes, you did.
Bullshit.
We started with $20.
Bullshit.
We started with $20.
You know what?
How much is the mile now? $2.75?
You know what?
What?
Some people don't like to take responsibility for
I
their own
take
shit.
responsibility.
They blame everything
Well,
in
why
their
you
life on
Oh my god, dude, this driver is a legend, and this CEO is such an asshead. Oh my
Send
god.
an email for town card.
Good luck.
Good luck to you too, but I know you don't gonna go far.
And he slammed
Travis's
the door. What a
petty
dick.
argument with one of his drivers over falling fares went viral, and just 3 months later, Travis was removed as CEO.
Yeah.
Steps down as the CEO of Uber, the co-founder and CEO of the.
This is the thing, though. He steps down. He gets a golden parachute, and he goes into another high-paying position at some other company. This happens every single time. This is why I hate everything and nothing is real. Because if you're just a regular worker, you'll get fired, and now that business is pretty much stricken off your record. I mean, you can put it down, and if you're lucky, they won't check into you. But if they do, then you're fucked, because they'll find out you got fired, and you won't get a job. But if you are some high-up director or CEO or CFO or whatever, and you fuck up the whole company and you do some shit that really messes everything up, then you get, oh, well, here, in a month, we'll wait for this to blow over a little bit. In a month, you'll resign, and then we'll give you a job at our sister company as, like, something that pays a little bit less and is a little bit less in the light, but you'll still be making millions of dollars. That shit just sucks, dude. He said the driver give him his own taxi company. Yeah. Yeah, politics too.
Handing
True.
in his resignation yesterday
True.
after shareholder revolt following several recent scandals.
Travis was replaced by former CEO of Expedia and certified big boy adult man, Dara
Khosrowshahi,
who has spent the last few years fixing Uber's public image. Dara also successfully took the company private in 2017, securing big-name investors along the way.
Oh, God.
But this has revealed Uber's greatest enemy of all.
Oh, by the way, just to bring this up, you guys know that Twitch is now training AI based on what you say and do and how the streams go, unless you specifically turn it off in your settings. But also, if you turn it off in your settings, but you're in someone else's stream who didn't, then you're still training. It's only if everybody has it, like if you have it and the streamer you're watching has it turned off. That's crazy. Twitch decided, because everybody's been telling them for months now, years now, oh, you know, there's a botting problem, Twitch. There's this botting problem. And Twitch's response to that is to train bots to be better at being Twitch bots. Are you fucking kidding me? How long do you think, how many months do you think it's going to be until Twitch decides to drop the new system they have where you can pay for viewers just through Twitch? Just 500, you'll get 500 seemingly real viewers on Twitch, and it's just straight up through Amazon or something. Yeah, make sure you untick the box. For sure, make you do. Mine is unticked, by the way. I have that shit turned off. But it's honestly, oh God, you know, it's crazy because I just started getting some viewership on here and stuff, but it's honestly making me think of switching to Kick, which is horrible. But I don't know if I even, the moment that happens, Twitch will be dead, so I don't think they will. Oh, I for sure think they will. Twitch can't help shooting themselves in the foot. They love that. Dude, Twitch loves hurting itself. It's a masochistic company. I don't understand it, but, or is that sadist? I don't know the difference. I don't know which is which, but they love hurting themselves. I don't know what it is. They're self-flatulating.
One that actually threatens to bury the company for good. As a business, Uber isn't actually profitable, and it never has been. In the second quarter of 2019, Uber reported a...
How could you not be profitable? Dog, alright. This right here is so fucking stupid to me. So you're not profitable as a company, and literally all you do is facilitate rides to people, then you're the most... Dude, oh my God. How much is the CEO getting paid? Let's look this up right now, actually. Uber, how much CEO makes a year? So the CEO is making $35 million per year, at least. That's the estimated amount because it's private and there's no way to know. The CEO is making $35 million per year, but they can't figure out a way to make their bottom line cheaper. I wonder how much money the CFO and the COO and these people are all getting paid too. This is why these companies aren't profitable. It's not because it's so hard and so expensive to run one of these companies. It's because you got some dumbass who's literally doing nothing, sitting at the top, getting paid $35 million a year. That's so stupid. You said they might prioritize certain streamers, but I won't say more about that. No, they do, for sure. New day, new conspiracies investigated by the Read. Hey, you know, it is what it is. I'm a crazy person. Our book, I mean.
$5.2 billion net loss, and followed that up with a slightly healthier hemorrhage of $1.2 billion.
Look, you guys will see one day that I'm not a book of conspiracies and I'm a book of prophecies. It'll just take some time.
in its third quarter. And this was before COVID-19 came along and coughed directly into the mouth of Uber's business model. Uber has been able to keep some money rolling in, thanks to diversifying.
Yeah, Uber's not profitable. It's a crazy thing, right? Because they're taking like 80% of everything. They're taking all this money, and all they are is a smartphone app. Like, they literally have their overhead is how much they're paying their executives, and that's it. That's their entire overhead. It's crazy.
With things like Uber Freight and
maybe
Uber
like
Eats.
maybe like their Amazon Web Services price. But again, they can't be paying that much for the Amazon web hosting services because Jeff Bezos has bought into the company and it's private. So he's got like specific indoors to make that way cheaper, which is probably how Twitch remains open as well. They have another overhead paying to avoid more money in the taxes. Oh, true. Lobbying. I didn't think about that. I don't know how that went over my head, but they're probably paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year to make sure that they don't become illegal or get like any sort of overwatch. Probably.
Like Lyft.
How could a company be alive for more than 10 years and not be profitable? Money laundering, probably.
Bleeding money harder than a haemophiliac caught in a Coinstar. Uber still has plenty of funding, but it is burning through that cash fast. And some experts say it has about 15 quarters to find a way to be in some way profitable. Profitable or not, when Uber
pay
arrived,
100 to avoid
it brought
101
with
in
it
taxes.
the future of urban transportation. Whether
True.
Uber will live long enough to
Dollar
see
to
it come
dollar.
to fruition is another story altogether. Hello.
Wow, that was a great video. It got my conspiratorial mind running. No, I mean, it's not even conspiracy. I fully believe that if you could just... Dog, I mean, how much is the CFO doing? How much is the CEO doing? And the COO and this team of, whatever you've got going on here? I mean, realistically, how much money are you paying people to do nothing? So that Uber is not making money, but taxi services have known how to make money since like all of time, actually. Because even back, 1,000 years ago, you could pay some dude to take you on a wagon trip. So how can you not figure out how to make money on wagon trips? This is crazy to me. This is actually, you have to, and you're still paying the CEO. You're going to pay the CEO $35 million a year whenever he can't even make you $1 for your company. That's crazy.